All right, everybody. So I'm in Dahu Park. It's a park in northern Taipei. It's Labor Day here, or Labor Day weekend rather. So it's very busy, as you can see, which kind of brings me to the topic of what I'm going to be talking about in this one. I've had a lot of people reach out and be worried about me being in Taiwan right now during the coronavirus outbreak. A lot of places are really struggling with it, but Taiwan, as you can see, really isn't. There is no stay-at-home order. There isn't anything of the sort. There's no social distancing necessarily. So in this one, I'm just going to kind of walk through and film as I'm the only shirtless person in this park and just kind of explain how things are here and why I don't necessarily want to leave and things like that. So before I came over here, I was actually in the Caribbean and I was visiting my grandfather and his wife, and they expressed a lot of concern, being like, now's not the time to go to Asia, like things are getting serious with this virus. At the time there was no cases there in the Caribbean either. So I was like, well, I'm already invested in it. I've already dropped my lease. I don't have a room in Seattle anymore. So I came out here. Originally I went to the Philippines, but they shut the country of the Philippines down, put it all under quarantine and things like that a day after I landed. So essentially I landed there, stayed a night for 18 hours after it spent 20 hours flying there, only to get on a plane and fly to Taiwan, which at the time I knew there was no stay at home or no quarantine or anything of the sort. So I came here and was like, well, if they start putting things under quarantine and things like that, then I'll just fly home. I'll go back to America. Then as things started to really kick off in America, almost 2 months ago now, I decided I wasn't gonna go back and I was gonna try and stay here as long as possible, because Taiwan learned a lot during the SARS epidemic, whenever that was, 10 years ago or something. And because of that, they really jumped on closing the country down and handling things. Like when I arrived here, I was technically under a thing called self-health management, which was 2 weeks of, watch for symptoms, alert the CDC if anything develops. And so I did that. And then about 6 days after I got here, they announced everybody who was arriving was going to have to be put under a mandatory 2-week quarantine. So government mandated home quarantine, rather, where they will check up on you. The government will show up like twice a day, 3 times a day. If you're not Taiwanese, they would pay for you to stay in a quarantine hotel, which were pretty nice hotels from what I've seen and been told. Give you 3 square meals a day, but you'd have to pay $8 US, I think is what it ended up being. And then after the 2 weeks, you could put in for like a quarantine stipend, where the government would give you 33 US dollars a day, I think it is. So essentially get paid $25 a day, have free lodging, to wait to see if symptoms develop. And because of the way that the Taiwanese government had jumped on this, the coronavirus is kind of leveled out here. We are now on day 6 of no new confirmed cases. So if nothing pops up today, that's a full week. And I can't think of any other country on the planet that is kind of in that situation right now. So people would reach out to me when I was first coming over here, and they're like, no, you should just come back. You shouldn't go there. It's so close to China. There's so many cultural ties to mainland China that it's risky, and their healthcare isn't that good, when in reality, the United States healthcare system, this has put so much strain on it that you kind of learned that, the United States healthcare system isn't that great either. But Taiwan's is actually very good. Of course, I have no idea what that says. Like the statue though. But anyway, so some of the things that has happened to me since I've been here has been, I've had Airbnbs reject my request simply because I'm an American. I've had gyms kick me out, just one. Another gym, they had to go talk to the owner, you know, or they called the owner and was just like, hey, you know, there's a American tourist here. He wants to work out. Like, can he work out? He's been in Taiwan for however long I'd been in Taiwan at that point. I think almost over 3 weeks. And the owner was like, yes, he can, but he has to wear a mask while he works out. So I wore a mask while I worked out. So I basically looked like Tom Hardy as Bane from Dark Knight Rises. Yeah, at this point, you know, I can still do, you know, pretty much live a normal life, you know, as normal as I can with being in Taiwan without a worker's visa or knowing how to speak Mandarin. But it's, you know, it's been great. I can still do the essentials. Like, you know, like I said, I can still go to gyms. I actually got a gym membership here in Taipei because I'm planning on staying for as long as possible. So I can still go to the gym. I can still, you know, go walk around. I can still go to the store and buy chocolate milks to chug. You know, I can still go on dates to microbreweries. I can do all those things. And so at this point, you know, like I said, I dropped my lease in Seattle. So I, you know, if I was to go back, I'd have to move into a new place, and I wouldn't have work either. You know, like everything has been closed down now. So I couldn't work at venues, and I couldn't work in restaurants, which is, you know, the two sort of jobs that I do the most besides work for the reserves of the military, which is the only reason I plan to go back, you know, somewhat soon, is because I do have an obligation with that. But I'd prefer to stay here just because it is, you know, safer and cooler. Hey, look, another white dude. Oh, two of them. Wow, 2 other white dudes spotted in the wild. Well, yeah, and, you know, the economy here is suffering a little bit because there is no tourism. Taiwan closed down the borders, essentially, even to transit. So the only people who are allowed to come back are Taiwanese nationals and, you know, people with long-term work permits, I think it is. So, but when they come back, obviously they have to go under the 2-week government-mandated, unenforced home isolation quarantine thing. Quite a few hostels have closed down, either temporarily. I don't think any have closed down permanently quite yet. And the taxi drivers, you see just like mobs of taxi drivers in the popular spots sitting there waiting, just looking incredibly bored because nobody's, you know, needing taxis because there aren't any tourists necessarily coming through. So I'm gonna see if I can get up close to this crane bird thing. Please don't fly away. Please don't fly away. Oh, there he goes. Spooked him away. But things have been really good here. You hear about people saying, you know, and it is irresponsible to go travel these days, you know, especially if you're leaving from a country which has a lot of people who are sick or things like that, you know. But like I said, I arrived from the Caribbean essentially with no cases there. So plus you see all these adorable Shivas. Hello. Oh, hi. It's okay. Oh, a little bit. Nope, doesn't want it. Unfortunate. Where was I? So anyway, right, it is irresponsible for people to be traveling right now. I got here at the right time, you know, and I don't plan to leave until things settle down. But it's a weird feeling because every day I sort of wake up and just feel incredibly grateful, especially as I read the news and I see these things about guys being upset because, you know, they haven't been able to go and drink Busch Light and eat riblets at Applebee's for 6 weeks, so they're going and storming capitals with weapons and stuff like that. It's just bizarre, you know. And here it's, you know, calm and peaceful. There's a turtle on that log right there. That's really cool. I don't know why I get so excited at things like that, but I definitely do. See, he's just chilling. Got the heron right there too. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of how things are at the moment here. I would like to stick around and stay here as long as possible, because like I said, you know, it's cheaper to be unemployed and traveling in Taiwan than it is to be back in Seattle or even Montana and be essentially under house arrest and just burning through your savings as you sit at home and watch you know, Netflix or RedTube. I don't know, I'm gonna wait it out here. I think it's great, and hopefully everything settles down globally with this pandemic and such, so that everybody can get back out to traveling. And when that comes around, I hope everybody who's watching this considers making a trip to Taiwan. So far, it's my favorite country I've been to in Asia. By far, I've been to Asia 4 times, and I think this is the 6th or 7th country I've been to on the continent. So definitely make it a point to make a trip out here. It's easy and it's cheap, the people are friendly, the food is good, the women are cute, the parks are nice, and it's safe. So I hope you're doing well at home, and I hope you're staying safe and staying healthy and looking out for each other. And if you like this video, smash subscribe, do something like that, whatever the kids say at the end of their vlogs. But yeah, I do appreciate it if you watched it all the way to the end. So stay safe, and I'll see you on the road sometime.